When Diego was coaxing me into agreeing to be child-free, I suddenly saw the magical barrage of floating comments. The male lead is atoning for his sins. He made his ex infertile, so now he doesn't plan on having kids either. He probably doesn't know, right? The ex faked the hysterectomy. Next time they meet, one passionate night and boom, twins. Poor love-obsessed side character, she stayed child-free with him for years, only for him to reunite happily with his wife and kids, while she had already lost the ability to have children and ended up dying alone. So, I'm that cannon-fodder side character? I paused for a moment, then asked tentatively, sure, we can be child-free. Want to go get sterilized together? Chapter 1. Diego took a call. Seemed like he heard someone had their uterus removed. He smoked on the balcony for a long while. When I finished showering, he walked straight into the bedroom, unbuttoning his shirt as he walked, his face cold, like he was ready for a fight. I gave him a couple of half-hearted shoves, didn't move him an inch, and the next thing I knew, he was pressing me down with force. Didn't you want to marry me? He said, if you're serious about being child-free, we can get the certificate anytime. That was the moment I saw the floating comments again. I knew Diego had an ex, he's got great qualities, after all, but realizing he planned to trick me into being child-free, then go start a family with his ex? It hit me with a wave of bitter resentment. More than anything, I was furious. All along, I thought I was the one in control of this relationship. If someone was going to play games, it should have been me playing him. Diego noticed I wasn't speaking and grabbed my waist, shifting me into another position. Why are you looking at me like that? Don't want to be child-free with me? Straddling him, I was forced to look away from the floating text. What filled my view now was Diego's cold, untamable face. He was unusually assertive tonight, his Adam's apple tilted back at a sensual angle, abs tightening into sleek lines, each motion flaunting his core strength. It was like he was seducing me into agreeing, which just made me angrier. If it weren't for the trickery, I might never have seen this wild, unrestrained side of him. There was a bitter frustration, like I'd trained a dog only to get outwitted by it. So I hardened my expression, wanting to probe a little more. Sure enough, Diego pushed harder when I stayed silent. His voice came out hoarse, scattered, deliberately tempting. Julia, real love is possessive. Even our own kids would be intruding. He always knew my preferences. So when he said this, with his brows furrowed like carrying secrets, his gaze glowing with obsession, it was clearly a performance. Just like those dark Yandere villains I'd been obsessing over in movies lately. He was trying way too hard. The comments were definitely telling the truth, and Diego's behavior was thrilling the audience. New comments appeared again. Aw, the male lead setting is so hot, he's obsessed only with the female lead. Treats everyone else like garbage. Exactly. Love this type of pure evil, knowing she can't have kids. He wants the whole world childless too. No wonder the side chick can't resist. With this dark villain energy, she'd reach for the stars if he asked. Mixed in were other voices. No one feels bad for the side chick? If she agrees, later when the male lead and his girl are surrounded by loving kids, she'll be alone in a nursing home, paralyzed, abused by caregivers until death. The comments scrolled wildly, and Diego's voice grew even raspier. Say yes. I won't allow anyone to intrude on our world of two. My rage hit its peak. The dog trainer in me finally had her pride challenged by this rabid stray. So I curled my lips into a smile and leaned my face against his chest. All right, I say yes. Take me to get sterilized tomorrow. Chapter 2. Diego froze for a moment, the gloom in his eyes clearing as disbelief flickered across his face. You'd go that far for me? My voice was soft, tinged with a nasal trace of grievance. I would. If it's something you want, I'm willing. I really do love children, but I love you more. If you don't want kids, I'll stay with you. I tilted my head up, a single tear lingering in the corner of my eye, ready to fall. When you're old one day, you won't have to worry about being alone. I promise. I'll stay by your side, and never leave before you. Diego's movements came to a full stop. He gazed down at me, eyes heavy, as if truly moved by my words. After a long moment, he propped himself up with one arm, cupped the back of my neck, and kissed me with emotion. The barrage above his head lit up in response, She's such a hopeless romantic. Her family has only one heir per generation. And she not only agrees to being child-free, she even volunteers for sterilization. Totally worth it though. When the male lead lifted himself up, oof. That strength, with that top model body. Who cares if he's lying? Wait. But it looks like he didn't expect her to be so devoted to him. He really looked touched just now. Is the male lead about to fall for the side chick and derail the whole main plot? Diego's moves grew even more passionate than the scrolling comments. If just now it was 9 parts technique and 1 part emotion, now it was at least 30% genuine impulsiveness. So, we're going for the sterilization surgery tomorrow? I asked. Voice muffled. Whatever you want, Diego said. Chapter 3. After we were done that night, while Diego was in the shower, I quickly booked appointments for sterilization surgery. For both of us. The next morning, when I brought Diego to the urology department, his expression turned a little ugly. You booked mine too? I looked at him innocently. Of course. Didn't you say last night that we're going to be child-free? The nurses looked at us curiously. I instinctively shifted a little closer to him, slightly embarrassed. You said it yourself last night, that we'd get sterilized together. Did I misunderstand something? Diego's face remained serious as he scrutinized me, as if trying to find a crack in my performance. My eyes burned from the embarrassment, and I lowered my head in shame. Looks like I got it wrong. You only meant you don't want kids, not that you'd actually get sterilized. That's okay. I'll go through the procedure alone. It's the same even if you don't. I tugged at Diego's sleeve, looking at him pleadingly, begging him not to embarrass me in public. The cute nurses watching from the side started whispering, their curious gazes turning into ones of judgment. This guy's the worst, wants to be child-free but makes the girl do the surgery. If he's really got the guts, why doesn't he get snipped too? The girl's going to sterilize herself for him, and someday he'll just go knock up someone else. That poor girl's going to be devastated. Diego clearly heard those voices, his face stiffened with discomfort. Then, the barrage comments returned, full of pity. This hopeless romantic really is missing a few screws. She thought he actually meant they'd both do it together. Yeah, this side chick is way too dumb. Now our male lead's getting humiliated in public thanks to her. This dumb move from the female supporting role really has our male lead stuck in a tight spot now. True to his role as the designated villain, Diego didn't lose his composure like the scrolling comments assumed he would. He tilted his head slightly, pinched my chin, blatantly trying to figure out whether I was truly naive or just pretending. And just as I lifted my chin, tears came rolling down in pairs. Diego's pupils contracted, like he'd been burned, and his fingertips twitched involuntarily. I bit my lip hard to keep my voice from breaking. I'll just do it myself. Don't listen to what they say. Then I stubbornly wiped my face and slowly turned, stepping in front of Diego protectively. Please don't misunderstand my boyfriend like that, I said to the nurses. He's not the kind of person you think. He said he doesn't want kids. And if he asked me to get the surgery, then I know he'd never go have a baby with someone else. One of the nurses quietly pushed back. If he really doesn't want kids, then why won't he get sterilized himself? It's not that he won't. Don't say that. My voice trembled with emotion, on the verge of tears. You have no right to slander him like that. You don't know how good he is to me. He's just anyway. I won't let you talk about him like that. The nurses, seeing how stubborn I was, began speaking out in protest. Their voices grew louder and louder, and I, outnumbered and overwhelmed, raised my voice too. Diego knew well, when it came to defending him, I was always relentless. Once, I even pestered someone for an entire afternoon just to make them apologize to him. So when he saw that I was about to make a scene, Diego relented. He maintained the last shred of dignity, and in front of those nurses, gently wiped away the tears from the corners of my eyes. Who said I wasn't doing it? His tone was resigned, though the smile on his lips didn't reach his eyes. I just booked a private doctor. I didn't expect you to schedule this one at a public hospital. I finally smiled through my tears. Really? Diego nodded. Of course it's true. I suggested it. Didn't I? Of course I'll do it. Chapter 4. The floating comments were in an uproar. What's going on? Is the male lead seriously going through with the vasectomy? Then how's he supposed to get back with the female lead and have twins? Spoiler alert, in the revised plot. He goes to a private urologist and tells the doctor it's just for show to fool the side chick. He's not actually getting snipped. Yup. Fake surgery. Meanwhile, the little lovestory dummy goes full throttle and gets permanent sterilization. That's some deliciously pure villainy. I curled up in Diego's arms, quietly checking a message from my best friend. Thanks for the transfer. Sugar mama. How'd you like the fake nurse I hired at a premium? I replied with a giant thumbs up and locked my screen. Diego was a master manipulator. He didn't just play the part. He committed fully. He even scheduled his surgery before mine. I suggested it. I should go first. And so tonight's cosplay theme was obsessive lover and naive. Love-brained sweetheart. Not bad. I was thoroughly enjoying it. Soon, it was Diego's surgery day. The night before, he met privately with the lead surgeon. They talked for a long time at a restaurant. When Diego left, the gift box he brought in didn't come back out with him. I am, after all, the most understanding girlfriend in the world. If he wanted to bribe the doctor, of course I'd support him wholeheartedly. So 2 minutes later, I walked into the restaurant and sat down in the exact seat he just vacated. Across from me, Dr. Wu frowned tightly at the sight of me. I smiled, pushed my phone toward him. Dr. Wu took one glance and his frown vanished instantly in fear. He wiped the sweat from his brow and asked what I wanted. I smiled again, sweetly. If Diego's surgery doesn't go as planned, you're finished. Chapter 5. Dr. Wu was smart enough to read the room. He kept Diego's gift box and resigned on the day of the surgery. Diego, of course, knew none of this. At that moment, he was just getting ready to head into the operating room. Even finding time to play the loving boyfriend. Don't worry, I'll be fine. That little tail-wagging puppy act amused me, so I decided to give him one last chance. My surgery's scheduled for next week. Should I go with permanent sterilization or just a reversible procedure? I asked. If it was reversible, I could still have children later, but permanent sterilization meant restoration would be nearly impossible. Diego took my hand and gently rubbed it between his fingers. Julia, he said. Be firm. Once and for all is the way to go. I let out a silent laugh. Right, you're absolutely right. When it comes to pure, cold-hearted scumbags, a clean cut is best. You said it yourself. So don't blame me later. The floating comments returned. Why does the side chick smile look so creepy all of a sudden? Don't tell me she's touched because she thinks the male lead is really going through with it. So dumb. It's cute. She may be an idiot, but she's smoking hot. Anyway, can't wait for her surgery. Once it's done, the male lead's free of consequences and we get some juicy drama. Diego walked into the operating room, and the comments disappeared with him. The surgery went off without a hitch. No one told Diego that Dr. Wu had resigned. Naturally, he also didn't know that this private hospital was owned by someone with the last name Chan, as in Julia Chan. Chapter 6. The very first thing Diego did after his surgery was look for Dr. Wu, so I feigned surprise and asked. You didn't know? Your surgery wasn't done by Dr. Wu. In an instant, the color drained from Diego's face. He tried to act composed as he quickly fumbled for his phone, but his fingertips trembled just slightly. I watched his panic with great satisfaction, taking my sweet time to pour fuel on the fire. What are you so nervous about? I asked the doctor already. For a simple little vasectomy like this, it doesn't matter who does it. They said there's never been a mishap with this kind of procedure at their hospital. In other words, no matter who performed the surgery, Diego was done for. His breathing turned rapid. Above him, the barrage of floating comments surged wildly. Wait, what's happening? The author just skipped over this. What don't we know? If the doctor was switched, then did the male lead actually get sterilized for real? Is the plot about to crash? No way. No way. How would the story continue then? There's gotta be a twist coming. Just as Diego looked like he was about to storm back into the operating room, the lead surgeon, Victor, walked in. He looked remarkably similar to Dr. Wu, with his face tightly covered in surgical gear. But once he removed the mask, Diego was stunned. Where's Dr. Wu? Why didn't you say you weren't him? He asked, his voice tight with urgency. Victor patted his shoulder reassuringly. Relax. Dr. Wu briefed me on everything. A surgery like this. It doesn't matter who performs it, we follow the exact same protocol. Diego looked at him with uncertainty. He told you everything? Victor nodded. Yes, everything you told him. He passed on to me. You told him. Victor didn't finish his sentence. Diego abruptly raised his hand to cut him off. Got it. We'll talk later. In private. Victor smiled awkwardly and quickly changed the subject. Diego's expression finally began to ease, though a sheen of sweat now covered his forehead. Curious. I leaned in and asked Victor. What exactly did you guys do to make my boyfriend so nervous? Victor seemed ready for a long conversation. He pulled out a chair and sat down. Here's what happened. I pulled up my own chair and sat opposite him, eager to listen. What happened? Diego suddenly burst into a violent cough, pulling at his wound, his whole body curling up like a bow. I fought to keep a straight face and whispered to Victor. Did you pull his shrimp vein? Victor replied seriously. I pulled his vas deferens. Chapter 7. Naturally. Diego didn't hear my conversation with Victor, as he coughed to stop Victor from spilling his secret. The doctor sighed in disappointment and left the observation room. The barrage of comments came alive again. False alarm. I knew it. There had to be a twist. No way the male lead actually got neutered. That'd derail the entire story. Exactly. If the surgery had really gone wrong, the author wouldn't have glossed over it like that. But not everyone agreed. Something feels off. Did you guys notice how the side chick was looking at him like she was teasing a dog? That little smirk gave me the creeps. Yes. When she said it didn't matter who performed the surgery, I honestly thought she was playing dumb on purpose. Those doubts were quickly drowned out by mocking voices. Playing dumb? She is dumb. That love brain side character isn't pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger, she is the pig. If she had a single brain cell, she wouldn't end up assaulted in a nursing home at 70. Right. I remember that. She even begged Diego to help her sue the caregiver. That led to a huge fight between the main couple when they were both old. So annoying. What's wrong with all of you? Have some morals. She went to Diego because she had nowhere else to turn, and that bastard didn't even help her. In the end, she had no way out and dragged the caregiver down with her. The comments section exploded into arguments. As I watched those words scroll by, my fists slowly clenched tighter. I never loved Diego deeply, but in the heat of emotion, I had been more than generous. Over a year of dating, I'd helped him countless times both openly and behind the scenes. If not for me, he wouldn't have gained control of his family's business so easily. Set aside romance, those solid, tangible favors alone should have been enough for him to offer me some help if I ever needed it. Looking at it now, if I'd never seen these floating comments, even if I hadn't been tricked into sterilization, I'd still have ended up miserable. Diego's coughing fit was intense and painful. By the time he sat up straight again, he happened to see my clenched fists and my slightly reddened eyes. Are you about to cry? His posture looked like someone who'd just had a bathroom accident, but he still kept up the act. I'm really fine, he said. Even if I suffer a little, it lowers the chances of you getting pregnant. That way, you'll suffer less too. Hunched over, legs slightly apart, he reached out to hold my hand. Julia, I really can't bear to see you go through this too. Let's book your surgery for tomorrow. Let's get it over with together. I clenched my back teeth, so moved, then suddenly lunged forward and threw myself into his arms, hugging him tightly. Diego gasped from the impact, breath knocked out of him, completely speechless. Seeing that, I adjusted my angle and hugged him even tighter. He dropped straight into the chair behind him, only to jump back up again with a face drained of blood. Seeing how fragile he was, I kindly arranged for someone to take care of him at home. I gave Victor specific instructions. Send him the strongest-handed caregiver in the entire hospital. Chapter 8. The caregiver tenderly looked after Diego for 3 full days. During that time, I didn't show up once. By the time he could walk around without flinching, I had just finished my own discharge process. A full-body checkup conveniently took 2 days. I was in absolutely perfect health. Still, when I left the hospital, I deliberately put on a frail look. In my hand, I held a carefully photoshopped sterilization discharge summary and stood by the entrance, gazing sadly at the children running around outside. Diego, I'll never be able to be a mother in this life. You'll stay with me forever, right? Diego said nothing, he just silently pulled me into a tight embrace. The sleeping barrage comments jolted back to life. Finally! We've reached the point where the side chick is fully sterilized. Now the male lead can finally let go in bed, no more fear of leaving any evidence. Time for the real action. Exactly! I heard the male lead's a total player, now that he has no reason to hold back. It's gonna get wild. The side chick may be pitiful, but damn is she eating good. I feel like a fly rubbing its little hands together. I am ready, honestly. After seeing Diego hunched over with his legs spread wide like that, I did feel a little guilty. Originally, my plan was to pamper him through his 3-month recovery period. Once the odds of reversing his vasectomy dropped, I'd quietly bow out. But after seeing those comments, maybe dragging it out a few more months isn't too much to ask, right? Chapter 9. The 3-month recovery period flew by. Diego's odds of reversing his vasectomy had plummeted. I finally let out a long breath of relief. Just like the comments predicted, it was time for me to eat well. But as it turns out, even the tastiest food can be hard to digest if you binge on it too much. At first, I'd deliberately play cute baby videos in secret. As soon as Diego caught sight of them, he'd go extra hard in bed, like he had something to prove. Later, when I started feeling overwhelmed, I'd quickly scroll past anything baby-related. But Diego misinterpreted that too. He thought I was being considerate, trying not to pressure him. So even when I didn't want to eat, I had to force myself to swallow. The comment section was practically panting with anticipation every day. Someone even said, "Why even bring the female lead back at this point? Watching all this meat is way more satisfying than some big happy ending." But I'd really had enough. The next time Diego leaned in with intent, I didn't bother hiding my lack of enthusiasm. He suddenly looked panicked. A man who's insecure in bed? Yeah, that's a total turn-off. So my eyes cleared up instantly. That was Diego at his most defeated. He stubbornly tried to win back his confidence. Maybe one more round would fix it. I casually pushed him away with one finger, then mischievously pointed toward the storage cabinet by the door. "Oh, forgot to tell you, the hospital sent your stuff back." So ethical of them. Diego tensed instantly. "What stuff?" My gaze slowly drifted down, landing on his gray sweatpants. Perfect. Flags down. Full retreat. For someone as proud as Diego, that one casual glance from me was enough to drive him to shame. He completely forgot his own question, only scrambling to cover up his sweatpants. Unfortunately, I didn't get to enjoy that embarrassment for long. Diego's phone suddenly rang. Chapter 10. The call was from the female lead, Selena. Above Diego's head, the barrage of floating comments went absolutely wild. Our queen is finally back. Warning, high drama ahead, he's going to rush to her right now. They're ex-lovers full of unresolved tension. Still angry. Still attracted, fighting and fucking and hating all at once. So intense. I'm gonna die from the excitement. But there were other voices, too. Anyone else think that last scene was strange? Like the male lead was being played by the side chick? Exactly. She's totally in control now. Just one line, one look from her and his emotions go on a roller coaster. Is the male lead falling for her? That kind of speculation got torn to shreds immediately. As if he's not falling for her. Didn't you see? He wasn't even turned on anymore. But the female lead, now that's different. One look, no words, and they were already kissing like they wanted to devour each other. Yep, fighting, insulting, then smashing each other to pieces, 3 rounds in one night. And boom, twins. I cannot wait to see the male lead's face when he finds out she's pregnant. That last comment got tons of likes. I turned to look at Diego. He was leaning against the headboard, phone in hand, his grip tightening and loosening again and again. After a few moments of hesitation, he looked at me with an apologetic expression. "I have to go take care of something. I'll be back soon." Chapter 11. I didn't stop Diego from meeting up with the female lead, Selena. On the contrary, I was looking forward to it. Diego didn't come home that night, and the next day, the ever-so-precious Selena came to find me. She looked me up and down with a smug air and gave a sharp little laugh. Diego really has no standards. Same villain archetype as Diego, but much more shameless about it. Which, honestly, might make her easier to control. I smiled back, lifted my coffee calmly. In terms of age, I'm a few years younger than you. In terms of looks, Diego once told me I was perfect. His only concern was that I turned too many heads. Selena's face immediately darkened. I took a sip of coffee, letting my gaze drift to her body-hugging low-cut dress. As for figure, sorry, maybe Diego likes your type. After all, you do look innocent. Selena's face flushed red with anger. She grabbed her coffee cup, clearly ready to throw it at me. I caught her wrist mid-swing, pinning the cup down firmly onto the table. Then I dropped my smile, towering over her with a cold stare. Selena, right? I know my boyfriend went out looking for fun yesterday. Since you didn't charge him, I'll let it slide this time. But let me give you some advice. Wake up. You can't compare with me in any way. Maybe if Diego still wanted kids, you could have used one to steal him away. But now, he's sterile. You've officially run out of chances. Selena was furious, but when I mentioned the vasectomy, she suddenly smiled with biting sarcasm. Are you sure I'm out of chances? Her expression suggested she knew Diego's surgery had been faked. But before she could say another word, I spotted Diego's car pulling up from a distance. Without hesitation, I raised my hand and slapped her across that smug little mouth. Laugh at your mother, bitch. Selena froze, stunned for a second. Then she grabbed a second coffee and hurled it at me, cup and all. Right on cue, Diego pushed the door open and walked in. I dodged the flying mug, but still got drenched in coffee. Thanks to my year of training, Diego's gentlemanly instincts kicked in. He rushed to shield me without thinking. But once he realized the person on the other side was his beloved Selena, he froze on the spot. His arm around me, he didn't know whether to let go or hold on. Selena looked devastated. She bit her lip, tears brimming in her eyes, and pointed to the cheek I slapped. Diego, she hit me. And you're still protecting her? Truth be told, her dull skin tone worked against her. The slap mark wasn't even visible. Still, Diego looked like he'd just been burned. He instantly let go of me. What's going on? His voice turned cold. I looked up at him, face wet and pathetic, tears flowing freely. Yes, I hit her, but she deserved it. Do you know what she said? She said you cheated on me, that you went out to be her simp. But that's impossible, right? You just had a vasectomy with me so we could be child-free together. You love me that much. There's no way you'd ever cheat on me. Even if she smashed my head in with a coffee cup, I'd still never let her slander you. The cafe was packed, and everyone had heard enough to grasp the situation. I'd just undergone sterilization, and my boyfriend had cheated on me. And yet, here I was, still foolishly defending the man who put a cheating hat on my head. Whether it was my stubbornness or the judgmental glares from the crowd that swayed him, I didn't know. But Diego's expression grew complicated. He silently withdrew the hand he'd been reaching toward Selena. Selena stared at him in disbelief, biting her lip hard to keep from crying. Diego lowered his eyes and began wiping the coffee off me with a tissue. The veins in his hand bulged with tension. I'd never cheat. He ground the words out between clenched teeth. Don't believe a word she says. Chapter 12. Even the floating comments above Diego's head seemed confused. What's going on with the male lead? Why does it look like he's siding with the side chick? You don't get it. He's not really siding with her. He's trying to make the female lead jealous so she'll come crawling back. The side chick is just part of their little power play. Honestly, the side chick has it rough. When the male lead wants to hurt the FL, he pretends to be close to her. When he wants to cheer up the FL, he turns around and tortures the side chick instead. No wonder she went crazy by the end. I smiled with satisfaction as I read those lines. The fact that Diego still needed to use me was a good thing, and I was using him right back. As long as Diego showed me affection, Selena would never stay quiet. And I'd already told her, the only way to keep Diego was to get pregnant. I wasn't worried she'd refuse the bait. As the female lead, her fate was bound to Diego. Having twins was their main storyline. There was no escaping it. And I was right. That day, I saw Selena staring at the space above Diego's head in a daze. Not long after, she officially started the main plotline. Every time I posted sweet couple photos of me and Diego on social media, Selena would be seen frequenting the gynecology department. The more I acted like Diego and I were inseparable, the more desperate she became to get pregnant. Meanwhile, ever since that last time Diego had to retreat in embarrassment, I never initiated intimacy again, even when he tried. I'd politely and passively decline. He started hitting the gym, dressing better, even copying outfit tutorials online, like how to button a shirt with flair. But I never gave him a chance to reclaim the dignity he'd lost. And the comments started to question things. This is going off script. Why is the male lead still trying to sleep with the side chick when the FL already came back? Is the author backtracking? Are they really gonna swap roles, let the side chick replace the FL? That means the FL might end up with the fate of dying alone in a nursing home? It's possible, logically. The FL should have gotten pregnant the last time she slept with the ML. That should have sealed their reconciliation. But it's been how long with no sign of pregnancy? What if she really is getting her fate swapped? Right when those comments popped up, Selena blocked our path again. She stared up at Diego's floating text, her expression flickering with panic and rage. Diego looked over awkwardly, seemingly trying to explain their relationship to me. I glanced at Selena, then at Diego's dress pants, and lifted a hand to cut him off with zero interest. Doesn't matter. You two talk. I have plans with a friend anyway. See you. Whatever that glance of mine meant. Diego suddenly looked like he'd swallowed a brick. His face turned purple-red like liver, and as his attention shifted toward me, Selena's panic deepened. What came next was exactly what I expected. Selena moved fast. Just a month later, she came back, smug and victorious, blocking Diego and me on our way out. I'm pregnant. She lifted her chin, voice proud and triumphant. Then she smiled, waiting for Diego's reaction. But this time, Diego didn't try to provoke her by pretending to be affectionate with me. Instead, when he heard her words, he froze in place, utterly stunned. His expression twisted from disbelief, to shock, to joy, and finally, even his eyes reddened slightly. Chapter 13. Based on the barrage of comments, I was able to roughly piece together their backstory. Previously, Selena had been pregnant with Diego's child but insisted on rushing into a fire to save her ambiguously close stepbrother. As a result, the stress caused her to miscarry. Diego thought Selena still had feelings for her stepbrother. Instead of comforting her after the loss, he got furious and they had a massive argument. Selena left heartbroken. Not long after, word spread that she had not only lost the baby but, in her grief, had lost her uterus as well. Diego carried deep guilt while also resenting her stepbrother. And now, Selena said she was pregnant. Not only was her uterus intact, but she'd also cut ties with her stepbrother and was carrying Diego's child again. Clearly, he was overwhelmed. All the previous push and pull, the calculated jabs and emotional wounds between them, suddenly felt meaningless in the face of this. They were about to put the past behind them and start over. Diego let go of my hand. Eyes locked on Selena, he slowly walked over to her. Is it true? Our Tommy, he's back? Tommy must be the name they gave to their first child. At the sound of that name, Selena's eyes welled up with tears. Yes, our Tommy is back. We can start over, all of it. A perfect full-circle melodrama. The comments were momentarily stunned. Wait, that's not how this played out before. Why would the FL just announce her pregnancy right in front of the side chick? I remember she used to make the ML hide it to get back at her. Yeah, she was super twisted. She even made Diego bring the kid to the side chick and made her take care of him. She thought it was a kid Diego was sponsoring, and she spent so much on him out of love. Maybe the author rewrote the plot. Either way, Selena finally reclaimed Diego and reaffirmed her FL status. Selena stared at the floating comments above Diego's head again. After a long moment, she smiled in satisfaction. She threw her arms around Diego, and the two villains embraced, shedding all their masks and pouring their hearts out to each other. The comments were overwhelmed with emotion. I couldn't help clapping lightly. Bravo. How could this not be entertaining? Sterile couple, now suddenly expecting twins. Diego was snapped back to reality by the sound of my clapping. He turned to look at me. There was a flicker of something complicated in his expression, but he quickly looked away. Yeah, it's exactly what it looks like. Say whatever you want. I've got nothing to explain. Selena gave me a smug smile. Since you let my husband sleep with you for free all this time, I'll be generous. Our child can call you godmother. Don't worry, you might be sterilized. But your inheritance won't go to waste. We'll make sure someone carries it on for you. Diego seemed to think Selena's words were a bit harsh. His brows furrowed slightly, but he didn't speak up to stop her. The floating comments returned, this time, with a noticeable shift in tone. Wait, what's going on? We were here for a toxic villain romance, but now the FL bullying the side chick just feels uncomfortable. Putting myself in the side chick's shoes. This is a nightmare. She probably just realized the vasectomy was fake. Anyone mentally weaker would have snapped by now. Selena looked up at the text above Diego's head again, as if suddenly inspired. She stepped forward, standing right in front of me. You must be dying to know how I ended up pregnant with Diego's baby, right? Ha ha ha. Fine, I'll tell you, so you can finally give up. Her eyes were glued to my face, desperate not to miss a single flicker of my supposed breakdown. Listen closely. Diego never had the vasectomy. He faked the whole thing just to trick you. After he thought I lost my uterus, he wished the entire world would stop reproducing. So, you still think he loved you? Let me be clear, you were nothing but a casualty of our feud. Your sterilized uterus? That was his proof of love for me. Selena gave a wicked laugh and turned to Diego. Diego, tell her I'm right. Tell her everything I said is true. Diego's face turned grim when our eyes met. A flicker of guilt and pain crossed his expression. The floating comments questioned everything. Wait, the male lead's expression is off. Isn't he supposed to be a heartless villain? Why does he look like he pities the side chick? Is it possible the side chick actually tamed him? Lately, she's been manipulating his emotions with ease. Selena caught that moment of hesitation and stared daggers at Diego. And under her gaze, Diego buried his guilt and finally forced the words out. It's true, Julia. Everything was fake. This is the end of us. The only thing I can give you is the past. Be grateful for that. Selena smiled triumphantly. Poor thing. Since you poured your whole heart into my man, I'll be generous. I'll let you keep the memories. How should you thank me? There they stood together, he, cold and sharp, she, flamboyant and arrogant. A perfect pair of villains. It was hard to imagine how broken I might have felt right now if I hadn't had the floating comments to guide me. I looked up at Diego, and my gaze slowly drifted downward, landing deliberately on his dress pants, right when his expression began to crack. Are you sure that baby is yours? I asked. Diego froze, eyebrows knitting together tightly. He seemed to mentally retrace the details of his vasectomy, and then snapped in anger. Don't try to drive a wedge between us just to win me back. I'll tell you the truth. My surgery was fake. I laughed, light and sharp. You sure about that? Another flicker of doubt passed over his face. Then he raised his voice, puffing up his tone to sound more confident. No matter what games you play, I'm not coming back. If I catch you stirring up drama again, don't expect me to show any mercy. I crossed my arms and cut him off. Mercy? You mean the mercy where you tricked me into getting sterilized, cheated behind my back, and secretly coordinated with Dr. Wu to fake your procedure? Diego froze completely. You knew I contacted Dr. Wu. He held his breath, waiting for my response. I glanced again at his pants. After your little performance flopped, you were so busy reuniting with your old flame, did you forget to check what the hospital returned? Diego's face instantly lost all color. Still, he tried to hold himself together, not letting panic show. So what if it was returned? No doctor would dare go against a patient's will. He'd never dare. I looked at him with calm pity, then slowly pulled a small box out of my bag. Chapter 14. You might not know this. I began. But Dr. Wu didn't just take a leave, he was forced to resign after I caught him red-handed. Before he ran, afraid of getting into trouble, he returned the gift you gave him through the hospital. But since you were being prepped for surgery at the time, the hospital passed it on to me. Diego's hand clenched unconsciously. Stop being so dramatic, Dr. Victor said Wu had already briefed him on what to do. I let out a cold laugh. Oh, he briefed him. All right, but what exactly he said? Victor tried to tell you that day. You stopped him, because you didn't want me to hear. Victor is the most meticulous doctor at the hospital. No matter what someone tells him, he always reviews the records himself before performing any procedure. Diego's chest rose and fell violently. He knew exactly what documents he had signed. So after hearing what I said, His face turned terrifyingly dark. Selena began to panic. She quickly grabbed Diego's arm, trying to calm him. She's lying. Don't listen to her. This isn't her hospital. How would she even get leverage on DR? Woo. I looked at them both, amused. Oh, you actually got that part right. The hospital is mine. The floating comments exploded. What a twist! The side chick is a hidden boss? This is insane. First novel I've ever seen where the FL gets the male lead neutered. I've been saying the side chick was playing dumb. No one believed me, but now I'm wondering if the ML really got snipped. Then where did the FL's baby come from? Don't tell me it's the stepbrothers. Relax. Relax, no way the author would ruin the main plot. The side chick is probably bluffing. Just wait for our FL's baby to smack her across the face with the truth. It seems Selena had taken courage from that last comment. She suddenly lunged forward and snatched the gift box from my hand. Diego, don't listen to her nonsense. This whole thing might be fake. Let's go verify it at the hospital right now, and when we come back, we'll slap her in the face with the truth. Chapter 15. Selena's biggest regret was probably dragging Diego to the hospital in such a hurry. The scene that day? Absolutely unforgettable. Victor met them in the middle of the bustling hospital lobby. This is the ex-boyfriend of our hospital director's daughter, Victor announced. Let's make sure he receives our full attention. Immediately, all the staff who weren't busy came over to greet the special guests. The space was large, the crowd was enormous. Diego tried to leave, but Selena, convinced she was about to expose me as a liar, held him back. Victor, eager to prove his own innocence, was extremely cooperative. He brought out a folder and calmly showed Diego the documentation he had long prepared. Here's the informed consent form. Here's your personal signature. And this is the photo of your severed vas deferens. Because of your special status, Miss Chan personally asked us to retain it. Diego was fuming, his face red with rage and shame, but still had enough pride to stay silent. Selena, on the other hand, had no such restraint. Fuming and defiant, she grabbed Victor and demanded, "Didn't Dr. Wu tell you not to go through with the real surgery?" Maybe she truly believed she was the main character in this world, that every plotline would twist itself around her needs. But Victor's explanation was clear. Dr. Wu had violated hospital policy and was under investigation. Before fleeing, all he told Victor was to return the gift box to the patient's family. That's it. Everything boiled down to one clear conclusion. Diego's vas deferens had really been cut. Originally, just a centimeter or two would have sufficed. But in an attempt to fool me, Diego had told the doctor to make sure there was zero chance of reversal. So Victor didn't hold back. Whatever could be removed was. And then came Victor's official statement. "Mr. Diego, out of humanitarian obligation, I must tell you with full responsibility, in your current condition, it is absolutely impossible for you to impregnate anyone." Diego's face turned ashen. He said nothing, just turned and stared daggers at Selena, eyes brimming with cold fury. The floating comments, for the first time, started siding with me. Wait. Is the author changing the female lead? This is way off script, but honestly, it's satisfying as hell, right? This is way better than those toxic villain romances. The side chick just destroyed him. Iconic. I'm here for the FL switch. Full support. Selena completely fell apart. In that moment, when she finally realized the world no longer revolved around her, all the confidence and arrogance drained from her face. She quickly covered her face with both hands, afraid people would remember her in this scene. Timidly, she begged Diego to take her away. She whispered that the hospital was owned by the Chans, that we were in this together, trying to scam them. She even said the pregnancy test might have been wrong. Maybe she wasn't pregnant after all. But no matter how she tried to claw her way back, life wasn't going to be kind to her from now on. Chapter 16. After that day, Diego went to a different hospital for a follow-up. The results were exactly as Victor had said. Right there on the spot, Diego slapped Selena twice, then dragged her straight to the gynecology department. The test results. Selena was indeed pregnant. And with that, Diego's dark, villainous nature surged again. He imprisoned Selena, torturing her relentlessly, demanding to know if the child was her stepbrother's. Selena swore up and down it wasn't. Diego, completely unhinged, pressed a knife to her lower abdomen and asked, "Then how about we take your uterus out and prove it?" Desperate, Selena made one final gambit. She told him he was the male lead of this world, someone different, someone special. "Maybe you don't need vas deferens to father a child," she said. It worked, for a while. Over the following months, Selena tried to escape countless times. Each attempt failed. Each failure led to worse punishments, until, eventually, the child was born. Diego ordered a paternity test immediately, and sure enough, the baby wasn't his. At the same time, Selena's secret prison was discovered by her stepbrother. When Diego rushed back to the villa, he only made it in time to recapture Selena, who had just given birth. But the baby was gone, taken by the stepbrother. Their twisted entanglement, still unresolved. From that point on, Diego began an endless, obsessive pursuit of fertility solutions. The more people lack something, the more they obsess over it. Reversing the vasectomy was out of the question, so Diego turned to IVF. He frequented hospitals to deposit sperm samples, and forced Selena, again and again, to take ovulation injections. Over the years, they tried everything, but Selena never conceived another child. During this time, Diego didn't not try to find me. At first, he attempted to sue the hospital, tried to sue Dr. Wu, but Wu had already fled abroad, and Diego had no evidence to prove the hospital had acted against his wishes. In the end, he had no choice but to swallow his loss in silence. Later, he turned his hatred toward me. He probably had a plan for how to take revenge. But the moment he saw me, the venom in his eyes softened. By then, Selena had lost her mind under his torment. His life was a complete mess, and I still looked like the version of me he remembered. The way he clung to the past, to the better version of himself he was when we were together, was enough to romanticize me in hindsight, turning me, a former supporting character, into a figure tinted with the glow of nostalgia. So he redirected all his hate toward Selena instead. If it weren't for Selena, we wouldn't be like this. He looked wounded. "You have to believe me, Julia. I truly loved you. I really did believe that living child-free with you could have been enough." I stared at the top of his head. Whoa. Finally seeing the side chick again. I was so sick of the endless drama between the leads. I forgot how refreshing she could be. If the author doesn't swap out the female lead soon, I'm done with this story. The whole two-villain setup isn't fun anymore. One's castrated, the other's insane. Nothing sexy about that. I looked away, casting Diego a lazy glance. "Are you sure you thought child-free sounded good for the right reasons?" Diego instinctively moved to shield his dress pants. The floating comments erupted in wails. After the flood of dropping the story messages, the screen slowly went quiet, until everything was silent. The barrage above Diego's head disappeared completely. He looked utterly defeated. And I was very satisfied. I rolled up the window and drove away without looking back. Chapter 17. Diego and Selena, those two trash heaps, completely vanished from my world. Until 2 months later, when I officially took over the private hospital. Victor stood smugly at the entrance, arms folded, grinning as he welcomed me in, and above his head, once again, I saw the floating comments. Is this finally a female lead swap? Did the side chick successfully level up and become the main character? Nah, I think it's a male lead swap. Didn't the author already wrap up Diego and Selena's arc? Just 2 lines: the wicked harm only themselves and died miserably in a nursing home after a lifetime of torment. So then the new male lead is Victor? But he knows what the former side chick is capable of. She's the type to snip a guy's vas deferens without blinking. How is that supposed to spark romance? The comments were flying. Victor avoided my gaze. I smiled silently. Who the male lead was didn't matter. Girls should always stay clear-headed, no matter how the story shifts or twists. You are always the main character of your own world. Story 2. My mom was found by my dad, who had just been released from prison, and she begged me for help right as a tornado was making landfall. The entire city was locked down, with everyone staying indoors. I didn't know how to drive, so I called Ryan, asking him to take me to my mom, but he kept rejecting my calls, ignoring my messages, only replying that he was working overtime. with no one responding to the emergency. I listened helplessly over the phone as my mom's cries faded into silence. That night, clutching my pregnant belly, I walked 2 hours on foot, only to find my mother's cold, lifeless body. The next day, Ryan finally returned my call, his tone impatient. "Jessica, why did you call me a dozen times? I was working overtime." I heard the faint sound of a girl laughing in the background, and my voice trembled as I asked, "Ryan, you promised that my mom would be your mom too, and that you'd take care of both of us." There was a brief pause on the other end of the line before Ryan coldly replied, "Jessica, are you a parasite?" Chapter 1. After drafting the divorce agreement, I sent the document to Ryan. "If there's anything you don't agree with, make your changes and send it directly to my lawyer." After saying that, I immediately blocked him. I had chased Ryan for 4 years. Everyone knew that there was a simp at South University who was hopelessly in love with Ryan. After we graduated, Ryan finally agreed to be with me. Maybe it was because I had worked so hard to win him over. I was always careful in our relationship, never once throwing a tantrum, and I agreed to all his demands. I thought that if I did this, he might love me more. I learned to go to the hospital by myself, even when my fever spiked to 40 degrees. The taxi driver was afraid I might be too delirious to know where I was going. But Ryan just told me to stop being dramatic over a minor illness. I learned to put myself second to Ryan, always putting his needs first. No matter how much pain or despair I felt, I prioritized his emotions, never daring to burden him with my negative feelings. I thought that this would make him cherish me, especially since he once held me close and promised to take care of me and my mom. But in the end, he called me a parasite, saying I didn't even qualify as a simp. After my dad murdered someone and disappeared, I called the police and had my mom's body cremated, starting to make arrangements for her funeral. It wasn't until the tall, strong woman who had always protected me was reduced to a small urn of ashes in my hands that I realized I had truly lost my mother. After settling my mom's affairs, the police called, saying they had narrowed down the search area but needed more time to capture him and asked me to be patient. After hanging up, I stayed at the cemetery for a long time. By the time I left, it was already dark. I didn't go back to Ryan's place but returned to my mom's home instead. I had already cleaned up the place. Everything felt just as it had when she was alive. As soon as I stepped inside, the doorbell rang. It was Ryan, and Elena was with him. "Jessica, I didn't know you'd learn to play the block and delete game." He stopped short when he saw my swollen eyes. "Is your mom okay? Is she home?" His brow furrowed involuntarily, and he started to step inside, but I blocked him. "Ryan, I've already sent you the divorce papers. If you're okay with everything, let's finalize the divorce tomorrow." I looked up at him calmly. Ryan was momentarily stunned, but Elena, standing behind him, spoke up first. "Sorry, sis. I accidentally twisted my ankle last night, and Ryan insisted on taking me to the hospital. That's why we were delayed." "Don't be mad." Her words were an apology, but the look she gave me was filled with undisguised provocation. I nodded, too exhausted to even make a sarcastic comment. Ryan hesitated, but seeing how clearly tired I was, he softened a bit. "All right. I know I shouldn't have ignored you yesterday, but nothing happened, right? Your mom went out to buy groceries, didn't she? Look, no man would really hurt his wife, especially not one who's been reformed in prison." I hadn't intended to argue with him, but when I heard those words, my whole body stiffened. I turned to him in disbelief, my eyes full of disappointment. "Ryan, do you remember what you said when you married me? You said my dad was a worthless, abusive man who deserved to be in prison. You promised you would take care of my mom and me. You've done nothing for 3 years, and now you dare to stand on that monster's side and speak for him?" Chapter 2. For the first time, I, who usually kept my emotions in check, cursed out loud. Ryan frowned in displeasure but, seeing that I was on the brink of a breakdown, swallowed the words he had been about to say. Elena, however, jumped in, indignantly. "Sis, how can you say that? He's your biological father. No matter how bad he is, you should learn to be grateful." "Ryan, how do you put up with her? Just hearing this makes my skin crawl. It's so disgusting. Ryan remained silent, and the anger that had been boiling within me began to cool. Forget it. There's no point in talking to people like this. I raised my hand to close the door, but Ryan blocked it. He pressed firmly against the door frame, looking at me with growing impatience. Jessica, enough with the drama. Come home. I don't have time to argue over pointless things. No time to argue with me. No time to help save my mom, but plenty of time to take Elena to the hospital for a twisted ankle. I didn't say a word, but I continued to try to close the door. Seeing that I wasn't responding, Ryan's expression turned cold. What do you want? I've already apologized. Since when did you become so unreasonable? Fine. I'll have bodyguards posted 24/7 to protect your mom, to monitor your dad. Will that make you happy? I couldn't help but laugh. I looked up at him and spoke calmly. Ryan, I'm exhausted. I'm not being unreasonable. We're over. We've been over since last night. Ryan saw that I was serious, and as his hand loosened, I shut the door, ignoring the relentless knocking. I locked the door and went to my mom's room. The bedroom door wasn't fully closed, so I could still hear Ryan outside. I heard him calling his assistant, instructing them to hire bodyguards to monitor my dad and to watch over my mom. But Ryan, it's all too late now. Chapter 3. Ryan was always concerned about his image, so after I shut him out that day, he never contacted me again. I finally had some peace, but the divorce papers from Ryan still hadn't arrived. I asked my lawyer to draft the agreement and sent it to him. His assistant called me, sounding anxious. Madam, the boss threw a fit and tore up the divorce papers you sent him. Would you like to come and calm him down? I can arrange a car for you. After 3 years of marriage, the assistant was well aware of the dynamics between Ryan and me. Whenever Ryan lost his temper over something, the assistant would call me to come and soothe him. But this time, I calmly declined the offer and hung up, ignoring the surprise in the assistant's voice. After filing for divorce with my lawyer's help, I took a taxi to the hospital. I didn't want this baby. I couldn't provide him with a happy home, nor did I have the energy to care for a child. The best thing for him was to be reborn into a happier family. In the office, the doctor frowned as she looked at me. Did you come alone? Where's your husband? I forced a bitter smile and shook my head. We're divorced. The doctor sighed, muttering about how irresponsible men were nowadays as she filled out the paperwork for the procedure. Since the baby was still small, she recommended a medical abortion. I lay on the hospital bed, feeling the cramps in my abdomen, my body drenched in cold sweat. Nausea rose up in my throat, and I staggered to the toilet, vomiting until tears streamed down my face. The doctor suggested that I walk around to help the process along. I endured the pain, gripping the wall in the hallway as I took one agonizing step after another, my entire body numb as if I might faint at any moment. Finally, while in the bathroom, I saw a blurry, flesh-like shape in the toilet, and my tears fell instantly. I knew this was my child. I had once imagined his personality, his appearance, and fantasized about the day he would stumble towards me, calling me Mom. As I opened the bathroom door, my vision blurred for a moment. Ryan was standing right in front of me, radiating a cold, angry energy as he glared at me. Jessica, you've got some nerve. Deciding to abort our child without my consent? Are you out of your mind? How could you do something like this? His aggressive questioning didn't stir much sadness in me. Seeing his face grow darker only gave me a twisted sense of satisfaction. I turned and pointed to the flesh-like mass still in the toilet, smiling faintly. Your child? Want to see? It's right here. His gaze followed the direction of my finger, and in the next second, he turned back to look at me. Jessica, are you out of your mind? Before I could respond, my vision blurred, and I fainted. When I woke up again, I was lying in a hospital bed. Even before I opened my eyes, I could hear the doctor's instructions. The patient is very weak. To ensure everything is expelled properly, she needs to take her medication and rest. If there are any complications, a DC procedure might be necessary. Please remember to bring her back for a follow-up in a week. Ryan responded with a low okay, and to my surprise, I could hear a trace of choking in his voice. Just as I was about to open my eyes, I heard Elena trying to comfort him. "Ryan, don't be too upset. Someone like her wouldn't have taken good care of the child anyway. The baby would have suffered, and she doesn't deserve to carry your child." The next moment, there was a sharp sound of a slap. "Shut up. My wife doesn't need you to say anything." I opened my eyes to see Ryan angrily scolding Elena, who was clutching her face in disbelief. "Ryan, you actually hit me?" I coughed lightly, interrupting their exchange. Ryan immediately turned to look at me, his expression a mix of worry and anger, torn between emotions. "Jessie, why did you have to go to such extremes? Even if we have children in the future, you shouldn't have risked this child and your own health out of spite. Enough is enough, you know?" I forced a weak smile and looked at him, shaking my head. My voice was hoarse and frail. "Ryan, we won't be having any more children. Please, just let me go." Chapter 4. I first met Ryan in high school. During those early, formative years, my grades were excellent, always securing the top spot in our year, while Ryan was the one whose parents had paid to get him into the school despite being at the bottom of the class. We were from completely different worlds, yet the teacher decided to seat us together, under the guise of tutoring. In reality, it was Ryan who had asked the teacher to switch our seats. I later found out that he and his friends had made a bet whether a girl like me, who was only interested in studying, would ever fall in love. When I learned about it, I immediately distanced myself from him. No matter how nice he was to me, or what expensive gifts he tried to buy me, I remained unmoved. Ryan, however, seemed to take it seriously after a while and started studying hard, just to be able to discuss problems with me. Through others, I came to understand that love was supposed to be about mutual respect and caring for each other. That's when I realized that my father's abuse of my mother was wrong, and I even tried to persuade her to divorce him. After my constant urging and as my father's abuse grew more frequent, my mother finally filed for divorce. I still remember that day. The weather forecast predicted a storm, and school let us out early so we could get home before it hit. Ryan packed all his homework into his bag and insisted on coming over to my place to study. Even though I had turned him down countless times before, he still made the same request every day, thinking that it was still early and my father was probably out drinking. I agreed, but as soon as we got close to my house, I could sense something was off. From inside, I could hear faint crying and the sound of things breaking. Almost instinctively, I blocked the door and forced a casual smile. "Not today. Maybe another time." Ryan didn't hear the commotion inside and looked puzzled. "Why not? We're already here. Let's study for a bit before I leave." I shook my head and was about to say something when the door suddenly flew open from behind me. I fell backward, but Ryan quickly grabbed my hand and steadied me. The strong smell of alcohol and smoke hit me, making my hair stand on end. "You little bitch. Don't you have any shame? You're already out here flirting with men at such a young age. Just like your mother." "Huh?" He yanked my ponytail, forcing me closer to him, and raised his hand to slap me. Instinctively, I bent over and covered my face, enduring the pain in my scalp as I shouted, "I didn't!" My mother stumbled out of the house, and through the gaps between my fingers, I could see her. Her face was covered in blood, her eyes were bruised and swollen, and her clothes were torn and tattered. Limping, she rushed towards me. "Don't hit Jessie." My father ignored her, and just as his hand was about to strike, Ryan kicked him. "Damn it!" Caught off guard, my father doubled over in pain, clutching his groin, his eyes glaring at Ryan with rage. "Who the hell are you? How I discipline my kid is none of your damn business." Ryan pulled me behind him, shielding me, and sneered at the man before us. "You call yourself a man? You think you deserve a family?" Ryan's words infuriated my father, and he lunged at him, ready to fight. But before anything could happen, the sound of police sirens filled the air, and my father was taken away. As he was led off, he spat at us, cursing that we'd regret it, swearing revenge, but he never came back. I later found out that Ryan had used his connections to dig up evidence of my father's crimes, and my father was sentenced to several years in prison. That day, Ryan cleaned up the wreckage of my home until it was spotless. Then he crouched down in front of me, his gaze sincere and serious. "Jessica, let's work hard and get into college together. I'll take care of you and your mom." That kind of man doesn't deserve to be called a husband or father. Just think of it as a dog bite, and don't let it keep you in the shadows forever. I wonder if Ryan still remembers the words that teenage boy once said. Chapter 5. Ryan's college entrance exam results were not ideal, but at least he got into a university. At that time, to be with Ryan, I believed in his promises and gave up my own future to attend the same university as him. But no one could have predicted that the Ryan who once passionately discussed our future and dreams with me would become a completely different person once we entered college. We didn't end up together as I had hoped. Instead, we grew further apart. He started avoiding me, rejecting my invitations, and didn't even want to see me. At that time, I simply thought he no longer liked me. But that was okay, I could still pursue him. And so began my 4 years as a simp. None of our college classmates knew about what happened in high school, so everyone assumed I was just hopelessly in love with Ryan. Ryan didn't explain, and neither did I. I thought that as long as the ending was good, the process didn't matter. At our college graduation, I confessed my feelings to him one last time. Ryan looked slightly annoyed but still took my flowers with a faint smile. "Jessica, I didn't expect you to be so persistent." "Fine, I'll give you a chance." We got married right after graduation. And now, here we are. It's not that there weren't moments of affection, they were just very few. Only when he was drunk and on top of me would I hear him say, "I love you." He said that as long as I was obedient and sensible, he would always love me. I took those words to heart, making them a part of who I am. In our 3 years of marriage, I never once resisted him. I followed his every word. But this time, I'm truly exhausted. I never expected that the words that once saved me would turn into the blade that wounded me so deeply. I have no energy left, and I no longer want to hold on. In truth, this relationship should have ended long ago. Shouldn't it? Chapter 6. Because of my weakened state, I stayed in the hospital for a week. Ryan seemed genuinely remorseful this time. He ignored my requests for a divorce and devoted himself to taking care of me. Even when I refused to talk to him, he stayed by my bedside, talking non-stop. He talked about everything, from high school to college to where we were now. But in all his words, there wasn't a single apology. He still didn't believe he had done anything wrong. He just couldn't accept that I truly wanted to leave him and thought I was just throwing a tantrum. I said nothing, just focused on recovering my strength. On the day I was discharged, Ryan received a phone call and stepped out. Before he left, he reminded me to wait for him. He would come back soon to take me home. Given my fragile state, I agreed, but I waited from morning until nightfall. It wasn't until a nurse came to remind me that I could be discharged and gently hinted that I was occupying a bed that I finally packed my things and left the hospital. Ryan, just like that night, didn't answer any of my calls. He sent a text saying he was busy and told me to take a taxi home. He'd be there soon. Despite being utterly disappointed, I still couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness at his sudden change in attitude. By the time I returned to my mother's house, it was already the middle of the night. I lay in bed, flipping through my mother's diary, unable to stop the tears from falling. My phone rang. It was Ryan. But when I answered, it wasn't Ryan's voice that came through. It sounded like the call had been answered by mistake, the voices fading in and out. But I could still hear the clinking of glasses in the background. And then, I heard a familiar voice. "Ryan, thank you for spending my birthday with me. Are you sure everything's okay with your wife? She's already asked for a divorce. If you don't make it up to her, she might really leave you." She sounded as if she was concerned about Ryan, but her voice was filled with glee. Ryan remained silent, not responding. I clutched my phone tightly and moved it away from my ear. Just before I hung up, I heard Ryan's reply. His voice was casual, completely different from the concerned tone he used in the hospital. "She's not going to divorce me. She can't survive without me. Being by her bedside was just giving her an out. We've been married for 3 years, and she's never caused a fuss before. This time, she's making a big deal out of it just to get my attention. It'll blow over soon enough. It gets boring if she drags it out." I hung up and lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling as tears silently rolled down my cheeks. Yes, in everyone's eyes, I couldn't survive without Ryan. After all, since marrying him, I had distanced myself from my career and devoted all my energy to him. But a person's independence starts with their mind. Ryan, this time I really won't forgive you. Chapter 7. The police called while I was working at a convenience store. They told me the criminal had been captured, confessed to everything, and requested to see me one last time before going to prison. They asked if I wanted to meet him. My hand shook, and the Odin I was holding fell to the floor. Let's meet. My father sat across from me, his face covered in stubble, his eyes sunken, and he looked utterly worn out. I stared at the man who had ruined my life, feeling an overwhelming surge of hatred. This man had destroyed my childhood, ruined my mother's life, and warped my understanding of love. I wished he would just die. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, my father suddenly laughed. You're not doing well, are you? Where's that boy from before? He's left you, hasn't he? You'll end up just like your mother. No matter what I did, she didn't dare to divorce me because she couldn't survive without me. As I listened to his harsh words, I found myself becoming strangely calm. So, Ryan and this man in front of me were the same kind of man, but I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. I shook my head, my voice calm and cold. I came here to tell you that you're a beast, unworthy of being called human. You destroyed my childhood, but I won't let anyone like you ruin the rest of my life. As for your remaining years, spend them in prison. Don't die, dear father, or you won't get to see how well your hated daughter lives. Without waiting for his curses, I turned and walked away without looking back. I could feel his gaze burning into me as I left. But what did that matter? The more they doubted me, the more certain I was that I had made the right choice. Chapter 8. While working at the convenience store, I met a man who was dressed modestly. He extended an olive branch to me, inviting me to become a model. He mentioned that the pay might be low initially, but it would improve over time. After careful consideration and researching the company to ensure its credibility, I agreed. That very night, my agent took me to shoot my portfolio. To my surprise, once the photos were released, they quickly gained attention online. People praised my looks and figure, though they noted that I still needed to work on my posture. I dove headfirst into the modeling industry and began my journey of hard work, but I never expected to run into Ryan at a modeling competition. He was seated in the VIP section of the audience, with Elena by his side. The moment I stepped onto the stage, I saw him, along with the amazement in his eyes and the jealousy in Elena's. Ryan had tried to contact me during this time, scoffing when he found out I was working at a convenience store. He was convinced that I wouldn't last long and would come crawling back to him, leaving me to struggle on my own. But he never imagined I would transform into someone he didn't recognize. In fact, I had done modeling work on the side during school, but Ryan never knew. I won the competition, and soon enough, I was trending all over social media. As I headed backstage to change, I found Ryan leaning against the dressing room door, waiting for me. Didn't expect you to have this much potential. Want me to help you out? When I ignored him, Ryan stepped forward, attempting to wrap his arm around my waist. I took a step back, putting distance between us, and coldly said, "You've received the divorce papers, right? The court date is in a few days, and yet you have the time to flirt with your soon-to-be ex-wife?" Ryan froze, clearly unaware of the divorce proceedings. It wasn't hard to guess that Elena had intercepted the papers. She likely hoped that Ryan, being unprepared, would lose the case, making it easier for her to take my place. Realizing this, Ryan pulled out his phone to confirm with his assistant, then looked at me in disbelief. "Jessica, you really want a divorce? Why?" When he asked why, all I could do was laugh. "Didn't your bodyguard tell you why?" "Oh, so you didn't actually send any bodyguard to protect my mom, did you?" Seeing him avoid my gaze, I was more certain of my suspicions. I nodded, speaking in a calm tone as if I were simply recounting what I had for lunch today. "My mom died that night when you took Elena to the hospital instead of coming for me. She was beaten to death by my dad, the same man you said was reformed after his time in prison." He froze, seemingly unable to comprehend how things had escalated to this point. He stammered, "No, Jesse, that night, it wasn't." Listening to his incoherent words, I just felt irritated. I waved my hand dismissively. "Enough. Let's just end this. If you don't want a court battle, go home and sign the divorce papers. Let's part on good terms." After speaking, I had no interest in changing my clothes and was about to leave with my things, but I unexpectedly ran into Elena, who had been eavesdropping outside the door. "Sister, I didn't expect you to become a model so quickly. Whose bed did you climb into to rise so fast?" Before she could finish, Ryan slapped her hard across the face. "Who gave you the right to speak to Jessica like that? Wasn't it because you climbed into my bed that you're even here?" Ryan's harsh words hurt more than that slap, and Elena's eyes instantly filled with tears. I raised an eyebrow and looked at Ryan, surprised by his sudden self-awareness. Just as I was about to leave, Ryan grabbed my sleeve. "Jessica, I'm done with Elena. Come back home, okay? Let's not get a divorce, please?" Hearing the almost pleading tone in his voice, I turned to him, tilting my head with a light smile. "If your mother had died because I was too busy with an affair to help her, would you forgive me?" Chapter 9. The day before the court case, the divorce agreement arrived in my hands. Ryan had modified the terms, giving me 70% of the assets. I don't know what his intentions were, perhaps regret or an attempt to win me back, but I was entitled to that money, so I signed the papers without hesitation. As my schedule became increasingly packed, I found less time to grieve. The pain of losing my mother gradually began to heal. And as for Ryan, thinking of him now barely stirred any emotion in me. Time is cruel in that way. It can make you fall in love with someone quickly, but it can also slowly help you forget them. The next time I saw Ryan was 6 months later, after I had once again achieved a significant success, causing a stir online. My name and Ryan's name were suddenly linked together. Someone had dug into our past relationship and twisted the facts, claiming I pursued Ryan for 4 years just for money, that he launched my modeling career, only to be discarded by me afterward. They even exposed my miscarriage, posting a photo of me lying on a hospital bed with my eyes closed. The only people who knew about my miscarriage were Ryan and Elena. On that day, reporters gathered outside my hotel, waiting for me to come out. I was informed ahead of time by my manager, so I stayed hidden in my room, not daring to step outside. The company advised me to remain silent, and I agreed. Sitting in the hotel room, I watched as the scandal gained momentum online, with comments piling up, some even calling for my career to be ruined. I didn't understand, before being a model, I'm a person. Isn't having a miscarriage perfectly normal? After much thought, I sent Ryan a message. "Was it you?" Within a minute, Ryan called me back. He sounded both frustrated and angry. "Jessica, how could you think that of me? Why would I want to ruin your reputation? You used to trust me. You know I only want what's best for you." Listening to his anxious tone, I felt surprisingly calm. "But Ryan, as you said, that was in the past. 7 years ago. You've changed since then, and I was just asking, not accusing you." Ryan fell silent, and after a while, he sighed. "I'll take care of it, don't worry." After hanging up, Ryan's statement became the #1 trending topic that very night. Ryan had set up a social media account and posted his first content. "I'm the Ryan trending online. There's a mix of truth and lies being spread. But first of all, it's true that Jessica and I were married. The real reason for our separation is that I cheated on her, and she was utterly disappointed in me. She had an abortion and then filed for divorce. I believe she made the right decision. Anyone who is currently outraged and attacking her online would have done the same. This is entirely my fault. So please stop criticizing her. Lastly, I want to say that Jessica was a person before she became a model. What she did does not make her unprofessional or unworthy of being a model. Please view this situation rationally." Ryan's statement shocked not only the public but also me. I had always known that Ryan was someone who cared deeply about his reputation. That's why I didn't mention his infidelity in the divorce agreement, out of respect for the good times we had. I never revealed anything publicly, but I never expected him to expose this to the public just to clear my name. The public's opinion shifted quickly. Some internet users dug up Elena's account, and her comment section was quickly flooded with backlash. At the same time, my company issued a clarification statement and filed a lawsuit against Elena. After everything had settled down, I sent Ryan a message. "Thank you," he replied quickly. "It was the least I could do. And I'm sorry." Chapter 10. After that drama, my popularity actually increased, and several high-end brands specifically chose me as their spokesperson. My career soared, and through it, I found the meaning of life. With the money I earned through my hard work, I improved my quality of life and donated a large portion to women's organizations and children in rural areas. I wanted every woman suffering from domestic violence to know that only they can save themselves. They should never rely on a man. At the same time, I hoped that children in rural areas could break free from the mountains and not spend their entire lives there. Just like how I once lived at the bottom of a well, never seeing the sky. Having been through the rain, I wanted to hold an umbrella for others. Time flew by, and 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. During these 3 years, I visited the prison once a year. I kept my word from back then. I truly got better year after year. Seeing my biological father grow more and more haggard and miserable in prison with each passing year brought me a sweet satisfaction. He could only try to provoke me by bringing up Ryan again and again, but who cared? I had long since left Ryan behind, until one day, I saw the news. Goo Corporation had a change in leadership. Ryan had been in a car accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down, requiring lifelong hospitalization to maintain his physical functions. That day, I had just returned from vacation abroad. I went to see Ryan. He lay in his hospital bed, looking weak, his brows furrowed with a sense of life's weariness and regret. When he saw me, his dim eyes suddenly lit up. "Jesse, don't come in just yet." Because he was so excited, he lost control of his bowels, and a foul smell filled the air. He hurriedly called for the nurse to change his clothes, but they were negligent because he was just an overthrown CEO and they were reluctant to help him. I walked over and personally helped him tidy everything up. When I looked at him again, Ryan's face was red as if it was about to drip blood. He was embarrassed and ashamed. "I'm sorry to have you help me, Jesse." I shook my head and reached out to peel an apple for him. "Are you doing well?" He was taken aback, looking at his paralyzed legs, then back at me, forcing a smile. "I'm fine." His expression carried a hint of hope. I knew what he was thinking, but I didn't ask. I just nodded and continued. "That's good. I'm doing well too. I never thought my life could be so expansive." "Thank you, Ryan." He didn't understand what I was thanking him for, but he nodded anyway. "Do you still hate me?" Seeing his cautious expression, I finished peeling the last piece of the apple, placed it on the table, and calmly looked at him. "I don't hate you. To me, you're just a familiar stranger. I hope you do well." With that, I stopped looking at him, turned around, and was about to leave when I heard him behind me, his voice filled with reluctance and panic. "You still care about me, right, Jesse? Otherwise, why would you hope I do well? You still care, don't you?" I paused at the door, not turning back, and replied in a calm voice, "I hope everyone does well, not just you." There was silence behind me as I walked out of the hospital room. I walked faster and faster, heading straight towards my own light. Chapter 11 Epilogue. Actually, when I bet with my friends that I could win Jessica over, I was confident of victory, but I didn't expect her to be so hard to get. So, I had no choice but to focus on studying to catch her attention. Eventually, I really fell for her, especially after seeing what happened with her parents. I felt even more protective of her and vowed to treat her well for the rest of my life. But I broke that promise. In college, my friends made fun of me for having such a poor girlfriend. They belittled Jessica, and I didn't defend her. Gradually, I began to think I deserved better. I let Jessica chase after me for 4 years. Finally, when we graduated, I was tired. Jessica was my best option. At least she was truly devoted to me, beautiful, and obedient. We got married without even dating. But after marriage, I found her boring. Elena, on the other hand, was seductive and full of excitement. so I started an affair with her. And I wasn't wrong. Jessica found out about Elena and me, and she just accepted it. The night Jessica's mom died, I was actually planning to pick her up. But just as I grabbed my car keys to leave the office, Elena twisted her ankle behind me. She cried until her eyes were red, but she still bit her lip and told me to go find Jessica, saying she would be fine. Such a considerate girl really tugged at my heart. I thought it over, figuring Jessica was probably just exaggerating or trying to get my attention. But Elena genuinely hurt her ankle, so I took her to the hospital and stayed with her all night. But unexpectedly, Jessica wanted a divorce because of that. At first, I thought she was just throwing a tantrum, and I found it amusing. She hadn't shown any temper in 3 years of marriage. I patiently tried to appease her for a few days, but I didn't expect her to be so unreasonable. No matter, I thought, let her throw her tantrum. Once she's done, she'll come back to me. When I saw her again, it was because Elena insisted I accompany her to a fashion show, and I saw Jessica there. Leaving me didn't make her miserable like I thought it would. Instead, she was vibrant, free, and radiant. She was different from the Jessica I remembered. For the first time, I realized my mistake, but it was too late to fix anything. We divorced, and I completely cut ties with Elena. I never expected that Elena would want to ruin Jessica's reputation. And Jessica no longer trusts me like she used to. She actually thought it was me. Loving someone at the highest level means unconditional trust. So, no matter what happened between Elena and me in the past, as long as I told Jessica there was nothing between us, she would believe me. I used to think it was because she couldn't let go of me, but in reality, she trusted me unconditionally, choosing to believe in me even if it meant deceiving herself, because she loved me. But now, I'm the first person she doubts. She doesn't love me anymore. After I released the statement, Jessica thanked me. You're welcome. Or perhaps, I'm sorry. I couldn't fulfill the promises I made to you, and I've hurt you time and time again. Jessica, I'm sorry. I hope you live a better life from now on.